Did you ever try to be friends with your ex? Did it work out? Could you keep it that way? Did it ever feel like your ex is using the let's be friends just to get back together with you? We talked about how Carrie tried to be friends with Mr. Big and how all of that felt a little bit sus, right? It felt more like Carrie was trying to open again the door for the potential revival of the love between her and Mr. Big. But what about Miranda? How does she handle when Steve comes back and wants to be friends? In the last video of the love story between Miranda and Steve, we got introduced to the typical story of I don't trust men, they are all jerks, and then the perfect guy coming along and breaking those walls. Until he understood that Miranda is more successful than him, and that's just a little bit too weird. I mean, yes, it is totally ridiculous thinking that all men are jerks.
Can you for 1 second believe that maybe I'm not some full of shit guy? That maybe I do like you?
But the fact that I feel like you're my mother if you make more money than me, that's totally reasonable.
Being in that store with you, I didn't feel good about myself.
So I'm being punished for being successful.
That's not how I mean it.
Got it.
Don't you just love guys like that? Oops, I guess I exposed how I feel about Steve. But before we go into that, Miranda is now single. And she has her, I guess, annual or every 10 years. I don't know. When's the last time you've been at a gynecologist? Just to do a checkup. Am I exposing how health conscious I am? She has a visit at her gynecologist who kind of reminds her that, yes, she is single.
Do you need more orthonovum? Actually, I'm going off it. I don't need a daily reminder that I'm not having sex, so...
But here's the thing. Not only is Miranda probably giving up on men, but so is one of her ovaries. It's becoming a bit lazy.
My right ovary has given up hope that I will ever get married and have kids.
Now that totally freaks out Miranda. The biological clock is real. This pushes her to take some action, okay? Maybe her ovaries are giving up on her ever being married and having children, but she's not. She goes on a date with a guy that she actually went on a date 2 times before, but right now, there's no room to nitpick why is someone a good partner or not, okay? Let's be a little bit more open. It sucks that this is the reality at the end of the day, right? If you do want to have children and you want to have a family and being married and la-di-da-di-da, and you feel like you're reaching certain age, of course it sucks that you still haven't found that person. And then your focus starts being, okay, maybe I'm too much. Maybe my criteria is a little bit too demanding. First of all, I think it would help if we wouldn't be so focused on the idea of being married and having children. I think we've known for some time now that marriage in itself and having children in itself is not the thing that will make your life better or more worth it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're gonna have kids with a moron, that's gonna suck, okay? Then you're gonna wish that you never wanted this type of life. Now, if I focus on the fact that I want good partnership with someone else, I would then imagine it is easier to let go of the pressure of marriage and children and biological clock. The aim is to actually build a good relationship, not just have kids and be married and have a family, because none of that will work well if the relationship doesn't have good foundation. It can work, people do it, but I have not the best experience in being a child of a relationship that was, very turbulent. Let's say that this is one side, right? The focus on marriage and children. Now, when it comes on the standard thing, I would say it like this. I've heard people really having these criterias and this manifestation of the right guy that goes beyond having a good personalities that fit together. And by personalities, I also mean how do you support each other? How do you deal with arguments? And both of you feeling heard and listened to in the relationship. I've heard criteria that are very like a little bit too much, a bit too specific. He has to be tall. He has to have a lot of money, or he has to have a certain type of a job. Yes, I get it. The law of attraction is real. You just need to imagine a perfect guy. You just need to act as though the perfect guy will show up. And yes, you deserve to have someone who looks exactly how you want them to look, who has the exact version of life that you want a man to have. Sure, do it. Affirmations every day. Be my guest. And I said it before, but all of those should be preferences. My personal advice, if you come to a point where you feel like you keep on struggling finding the right person, maybe there are some standards that you need to reevaluate. But let me be clear. I'm not talking about standards like someone treating you right, being respectful to you, having a good time with them, accepting you, or you two together supporting each other in a way that you feel comfortably you. I am specifically talking about standards that are, like I said, certain height, certain job, certain status, never fighting, having everything figured out. Those could be actually things that are actually keeping you stuck and blocked. Now, those things are very easy to be your driving force if you are only focused on reaching a certain goal, reaching a certain idea of a relationship or a marriage or children, or like Miranda in this case, right? I want to get married. I want to have children at one point. But I do believe that if you focus on having a good partnership with someone, then you won't really feel that need or the urge to find someone or to lower your standards in a dangerous way or to be scared by the biological clock, right? So Miranda does approach dating this guy a little bit from that perspective, okay? Don't be so strict. Don't be so critical or have so many criterias. Give men a chance and, maybe you can actually be a good match.
She'd refused him twice before, but since she was down to her last ovary, Miranda decided she was in no position to eliminate men on the basis of hair plugs.
But at the end of the day, the guy wasn't a good match. Not because of the not so good hair transplant he had and Miranda couldn't stop looking at it, but because when she felt a bit more vulnerable to open and share with him that she decided to freeze her ovaries, he went on a tangent about what is up with the technology today. What is it? Are we just going to replace men? Now you don't even need anyone to have a child. You just go into lab and create. Like, this is abomination. Where is humankind going?
What is all this reproductive technology doing for us? I mean, do we want desperate women having babies at 50? Maybe some people aren't supposed to procreate. Maybe this is the world's way of weeding out the weak, you see.
Hey, I don't need to be lectured about science by a man who's doing crop rotation on his forehead.
Now, that would be a reason not to date this guy. This type of standard, how are you even treating how open-minded you are about in general things, would be a standard that I would keep. By the end of this episode, she does decide not to continue with the hormones to prepare, her ovaries or her eggs being frozen. She figures she's only 33 years old, and at the end of the day, there is no rush. Yes, there is no rush. Like I said, sometimes when you feel like you need to do it, you're gonna put yourself in a position that you wish you could get out. By the way, you can always get out. But you could try to avoid it from the get-go. And you can avoid it by not having a mindset of, oh my God, the time is going. What am I gonna do? And just to be clear, I can totally understand that it's not easy and that it sucks, okay? It's not easy to find a partner, though sometimes I feel like we are too much focused on it's not easy. It's like, when you're thinking that it's not easy, then probably it won't be easy because you're constantly looking or you're focused on the problem of it. But at the same time, I cannot neglect that, sometimes it's really difficult to find someone with whom you can build something, a partnership and a relationship. And I wish I would have some kind of insight or wisdom that I came across and I could share it at this point, what to do in that case when you're reaching certain age and you still haven't found that person. But with the experience, knowledge that I have so far, which is limited, okay? I do think that the most important thing is to understand yourself, find the love with yourself, find the love in life in general, and almost be excited about getting to know people, getting to know yourself, and seeing where it takes you. I do believe that life rewards you when you show up for yourself. Like, that's the belief I truly have. When you are vulnerable, when you go out there, when you also do sometimes the hard things, let go of that person who keeps, trying to come back, but they're obviously not good. Or when you are stuck in past relationship that ended and you don't know how to continue. I think when you show up for yourself in those moments and do the right thing for you, life somehow gives back. Okay, I'm going to end it there because it's starting to feel I'm a little bit too pastorish, okay? It's just my opinion, Mary. You do you. But if you find it helpful in some way, then I'm happy. She gets another chance at love, though. It's Jack. They meet at a bookstore. They exchange complicated names of books where I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying.
That's very good. Crazy Horse and Custer, The Parallel Lives of Two American Warriors.
Yeah, I know. I just finished his Meriwether Lewis and Thomas Jefferson, Undaunted Courage.
I'll pick that up right after I finish FDR, The New York Years.
What happened with the good old Hobbit? By the way, if you have any good books you could recommend me, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always on the lookout. And fiction. I want fiction books. Or maybe also non-fiction if you have some. Miranda and Jack exchange how smart they are. They're both intelligent people who read books. I mean, today that's an aesthetic. They decide to go on a date. And Jack seems to like certain types of excitement. Maybe he's trying to get the excitement from the books into real life. Like 50 Shades of Grey, that in real life would be a crime and abuse. They're walking down the alley and Jack takes Miranda to a place where there's apparently a house of a famous writer. He brings her in another alley, I guess, and he starts passionately kissing her. Miranda also feels thrilled about it. At least the first time. When it happens the second time, and then I think also the third time, even the fourth time, she's like, this guy doesn't want to have sex any other way than being potentially caught by someone. She also almost feels scared to invite him in to try to have sex inside because that might just end their relationship. And she's not really ready for that.
He likes the threat of getting caught. What if being with just me isn't enough?
If it's just her and no excitement, would he even want to be with her? I'm not gonna lie, this made me feel a little bit sad, a little bit angry, but also a little bit, I kind of get how this can happen. I mean, she never feels like she's chosen.
Like Carrie. I'd go with someone who has a little more experience, like Sam.
There is something sexy about a first-timer like Charlotte. Oh, great. No, forget about me.
She had bad experiences with men.
Look, I like you, but this is getting ridiculous. It's either the women in the video or me.
Miranda, it's not that simple. I mean, I've only known you for a few weeks, but I've been involved with some of those women for years.
Then she meets Steve, who first makes her drop her walls, break down her walls, and be open to trust men again. And then he literally dumps her because she's more successful than him, which is something that she's struggling in general in life. She says it many times, right? A successful woman is considered a liability, while a successful man is considered as the dog. Do you say anymore the dog? Am I being offensive right now? She decides that she's gonna take the plunge. She's gonna risk it. She's gonna try to have sex with him inside. And well, oh well. No problem. He's not about excitement. He is actually into Miranda.
Miranda realized that Jack's excitement wasn't about getting caught. It was about her.
Or so she thought, because his parents are at home. They open the door and Jack releases himself. Yes, he's been caught. Miranda is ready to leave this relationship. It would be so interesting to see if Miranda would actually have a conversation with Jack about the situation. But I do think that because she's so focused on potentially not being good enough, she just wants to somehow manipulate the situation and force it so then she will get an answer, right? Am I not good enough or am I good enough? People, you would be surprised how much far you can go with your own understanding of the other person, understanding of the connection that you two have when you have a conversation about things. It is totally okay to say, in Miranda's case, let's say, I really like spending time with you and I think this is good, but the way we are always intimate as an excitement thing, outside and not just the two of us, it does make me feel a bit almost undesirable because it feels that you are maybe more focused on the excitement of it than the two of us being together. How do you feel if the next date we have, it's just the two of us and we have a nice date at home? I think we should be more comfortable with expressing when someone makes us feel not good enough. It's not about, oh, then you're weak, then you're insecure, then you have problems. We shouldn't be afraid of having those feelings and try to mask it in some way or try to avoid it in some way. I think the actual strength is in recognizing, yeah, it does make me feel like not good enough. And it doesn't have to be this negative burden that then you start to think about yourself and why do I feel this way? I should be more confident and blah. No, biz, maybe just the actions of that other person are not really good for you. They make you feel a certain way and you should feel fine by expressing it. I have to give it to Miranda though. Despite her being portrayed just before meeting Steve as someone who doesn't trust men or, is putting up all these walls, she's open to meet guys and date guys. And it happens when she is on her couch doing her puzzle, like one did 20 years ago. Today, doing a puzzle is considered meditation. Isn't it crazy? Like, if you think about it, everything that was kind of normal in the past, just listening to a radio, doing puzzles, I don't know, gardening, whatever, without having any other stimulation, today, with everything that we are bombarded with, it is considered as meditating. Like, if I read a book, I already feel like I'm better than half of the population. I mean, I actually, instead of scrolling on my phone, I took a book. Beat that. She has a feeling that someone is watching her, which is the best feeling if you're living alone as a woman. Awesome. She looks on her side and there is a guy at the window. He's standing and he's looking at her. Creep. But I guess if a guy is cute, then it's not a creep, right? In the next couple of days, they go through this flirtation, right? He's at the window. He exposes his cheek. She flashes her boob. It's all very innocent and all very exciting, I guess. But one day, Miranda is at a grocery store and she spots him there. Now, first, she gets a little bit like, oh my God, there he is. But then, in her style, she faces it. I actually really like that about Miranda. She always bounces back. She goes to him and she's like, hey.
I thought I'd be an adult here and over and introduce myself. Hi.
The guy is looking at her as a bull to a new door. That's actually an expression that we say in Slovenian. Tele u nova vrata. I don't know if it works in English. Confused. He's like, what?
Oh, yeah, right. You're the girl who lives above the guy I've been cruising.
It was at this moment that she knew.
Days passing, you're flirting with this guy to find out that he's not even flirting with you. It's giving the...
I waved to a man because I thought he waved at me. So to get out of the awkward situation, I kept my hand up and a taxi pulled over and drove me to the airport. I am now in Poland, starting a new life.
It is awkward and Miranda feels so ashamed. She feels like the biggest dumbass. That type of situation becomes that memory when you're walking down the street and suddenly you remember it and then you're like just glitching a little bit and then you continue. That's the type of memory that Miranda is now getting.
The next day, she called her shrink for an emergency session.
Comedic punch, of course. But also, It does make me think, does she feel ashamed because she actually thought that a hot guy in the window would actually flirt with her? Like, I would find it funny, but somehow Miranda seems to find it very, oh my God, I'm so stupid to even think that. How could I think something like that? And it does show this little specks of, not feeling good enough in some way. As used to it by now, despite portraying Miranda as someone who hates men, she goes on another date. This time with a lawyer, I think is at her firm even. And they have a good time, but he is a little bit debatable. In both senses. Debatable in the conversations they have. It feels like actually two lawyers constantly going back and forth, but also debatable as a potentially good guy for her.
But at least on the bright side, it was an interesting movie,
Oh,
right?
yeah, right. It was a real Citizen Kane.
Well, I thought the actor who played Carlo was kind of charming.
That moron looked like he walked into work before the anesthesia wore off from his lobotomy.
All right.
Like
I'll just get us a cab, okay? I've caught plenty of cabs this way.
Yeah, in Never Never Land, where people constantly confuse a complete lack of talent with charm. Come on, Gene Shalit, get in the damn cab.
I would say he's, what's the word that I'm, jerk. Honestly, he's acting like we wish people that are toxic would act. Like, just show it straight to our face and then we're good. Like, we can decide. Unfortunately, it takes some time before you recognize a jerk. But here's the thing. As much as Miranda hates it, how he is ordering her around in her life, she kind of loves it in bed. And she wonders, what's up with that? Well, it's because women in reality just want to let go. They want to be led by men. This career thing, this success, this doing it on her own, that's all just an illusion feminists brought. But in reality, that's what women actually want. Just be led by men and letting go. I hope that came off as sarcastic, because if it didn't, it was sarcastic. I've said it many times. It's not like we like to do the women versus men argument, but in some cases, it's kind of fun to look at it that way. Imagine when a man, when they want to be dominated in bed, we never say, well, it's because in reality, all men just want to be housemen, Housewife is a word that was used to make men suffer and work all the time. It was the idea that was sold. But in reality, men want to be housemen. That's why they like to be submissive in bed. Have you ever thought about that? Am I the Lulu? Am I missing something? But how come when it comes to a woman, whatever she does in different areas of her life is automatically connected to what was she supposed to be or what is their actual desire or whatever, right? I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. When it comes to the career versus being a housewife or whatever, or being a mother or so on. But it never happens when we talk about men. For men, if they come home after stressful work, sit on the couch and watch TV and they cannot do anything else, it's not because it's not in their genes to be this career person. It's because they work so hard they need to rest. People, let's get it together, shall we? Building a career and work 9 to 5 sucks for everyone, okay? But we need to do it. It has nothing to do with female and man and blah, blah, blah. Even when it does have to do with that, I personally am of strong belief it is because it's a generational thing. It's about history, not because of our genes and our DNAs and how we developed and so on. It's more because of the impact from society and how that formed our beliefs and expectations. I'm going to leave it at that. I did make a video on Red Pill and all of that shenanigans if you're interested. Also on the trad wives. Have fun. Now, Miranda understands that this is not going to work long term. I mean, she's not the Lulu. Yes, it's good and bad, but I'm not going to live my life this way. But she tries to be understanding. The thing is that he is in a bit of a stressful period right now, okay?
He's going through a very stressful time waiting to make partner at his firm. When that finally works out, I think maybe he'll lighten up a bit.
And here's the thing, we all have stressful periods. Here's also the thing, it does not mean that you can be jerk to other people. Now, if you are with someone who constantly takes the excuse of, under stress, I'm dealing with this, blah, 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 to act like an asshole, maybe it's better for them to deal with their shit on their own. That should be your support. Let me not be also a part of this. I can walk away. I should walk away. But Miranda at this point is still feeling like, I'm not ready to give up on him, give up on this relationship. And it does seem that this relationship is going a little bit in the serious waters. She wants to introduce him to her friends. They are at a restaurant and he's running a little bit late. She apologizes in his name, but the girls are like, don't worry, it's okay.
Sorry, babe. The idiot who drove me here apparently passed his driving test in Bangladesh. I'm just happy to get off that fucking rickshaw in one piece.
Kevin, this is Carrie, Samantha, and Charlotte. This is Kevin.
Oh, it's nice to meet you. I have to go make a quick phone call. Be right back. Waitress, draft beer here.
The man is under stress. What can you expect? He orders a drink, but he needs to go to the loo. The waitress brings the drink and it spills a little bit. Miranda quickly takes a napkin and starts to wipe it.
What are you doing? I don't want him going off on the waitress.
Is it just a period or is it red flag? Again, I understand everyone is under stress. Everyone is in tough times. But if you find yourself being anxious and stressed and trying to be prepared on how this person is going to react, will they get mad? Will they start shouting at you? I would be open to the possibility of this just not being okay. And maybe you should remove yourself from it. Now, I don't think it's so black and white. There are, in every relationship, there are maybe periods when someone is going through some shit or whatever. And for that very reason, it is so crucial to have a conversation and try to find actual steps, meaning the actual step is not being avoidant about it. The actual step is not excluding the other person. Let's say that you are the one who is going through shit and you're just flipping out all the time. For sure, the way is not to be abusive to your partner or is to remove yourself from the situation until you figure it out and your partner just needs to, wait for it, see what's going to happen. Those are the moments where you can actually work on partnership. And I think that those are the moments that will show how good are you at fixing something together or supporting one another in a difficult time. But to do that, you do need to communicate it. You do need to express it. Like Miranda, instead of being all, I'm just trying to make sure that he's not going to be mad because it's a stressful time, it would be good if she would actually talk to him about it, confront him and say, I understand you are under a lot of stress, but I'm not a punching bag and this is not working. We need to find you a different solution. Maybe you need to go to therapy. Who knows? Maybe there are some mental health problems and you need to actually figure out how can you help yourself and at the same time help us. And ultimately, how can I support you in that? Can I? There is also the dark triad side, right? We do know about some personality types that do make you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells around them because they get into this entitlement. Like I'm not a doctor. I don't have any formal education in this. I'm just saying from what I kind of understand about these things. But it's almost like they feed into the entitlement. They become so entitled because they also believe they are entitled to you tending to all of their needs and for you to be there as their punching bag, as their release, right? They have serious problem in understanding, how to connect with another person. Just be mindful of that. Everyone is under stress. Everyone has their shitty periods, but that does not give you the right to treat the other person badly or that the other person needs to take it from you. I also want to add here that when it's all the time, then there are some underlying issues that need to be resolved. And if they cannot be resolved, then you two just need to separate. And Miranda looks like she is living under the illusion of it's just a phase. I mean, the guy is like this all the time. There is no phase. She's just having that excuse. It's okay though, because the day has come. The one day we all wish for when we're dealing with shit. The one day that will change everything. The day that will fix it all. Miranda's day is finally here. He has become partner. Now, according to her, he's gonna let go of the stress and they could actually have a good relationship. They go to a lunch together to celebrate this new achievement. And Miranda is trying. She's actually cracking me up.
A toast to a very happy occasion.
Oh, yeah, I'm falling all over myself with glee. If there's a difference between this $100 bottle of champagne and the crap they sell for $29, it takes a more delicate palate than mine to detect it. I don't know.
Well, I like the champagne, and the bread is fabulous. Oh my God, look at those flowers.
And it made Kevin calm down a bit. It made him reflect. She reminded him that there is more to life than just negativity.
Don't piss me off.
The guy is still a jerk, okay? And despite usually Miranda being the cynical one and Miranda being a little bit more negative, she's in good spirits and she is not gonna allow this jerk to bring her down. She gets up and she walks away. I have to say that Sex and the City has some of the best walkaway moments. There should be many. Unfortunately, some of the walkaways are a little bit like I walk away, but you can come and follow me. But this time, the Miranda one, it's a walk away for good.
Have a nice day.
What?
So far, there is a clear, let's say, personality trait or how Miranda approaches things and approaches relationships. I mean, actually, she's one of the people who does believe that relationships are built on good communication and...
Relationships are not about games. They're about mature and honest communication.
And she actually shows it, even with Kevin. Her attitude is like, I understand, I'm here, I want to have a good supportive relationship, but if there's no effort from the other side, then bis, I'm out. And that's, I think, the healthiest attitude that you should have when it comes to dating and relationship. We can always understand things, we can always try to be supportive, but then if it's not a two-way street, then you should walk away. Now, for this to actually happen, this formula working, there needs to be communication in between, especially in, challenging times, how to approach it, how can you support the other person, how can you make sure that you both feel good as much as you can feel good in this moment. And then this formula works. Then you can be like, look, I tried, but if it's not working, it's not working. It also prevents any, maybe if I did it differently, things would be... No, because you are confident with yourself that I did the best that I could. I tried, but if the other person is not meeting me anyway, then it's not going to happen. She does flop a little bit when it comes to her own self-worth and also how she gets attracted to people when they don't give her that validation.
Hey, Skipper, I just wanted to say hello. How have you been?
How have I been? You got a lot of nerve talking to me like nothing happened ever since you tossed me out like bad milk.
For those of you who don't know, Skipper is the guy who Miranda always just used when she felt a little bit low and she just wanted to feel good about herself, right? He's finally like, stay away from me. And she's like, oh my God, did you work out?
Miranda had never seen him as angry as this before. Much to her horror, she was attracted.
Have you been working out?
If you're someone who's doing that, that's a clear indication that you need help, okay? And it's okay. Take your time, figure it out, and don't hurt other people for your own well-being, period. She does have one more experience before Steve comes back into the picture. He's divorced and they kind of click, but she does feel a little bit like he's used.
Daddy.
Simon, we're not being very nice to,
Miranda.
Miranda.
I don't wear vintage clothes. I hate flea markets. I don't collect antiques. Is it too much to ask that he not be, used?
Sometimes, I'm like, what the F? What kind of thinking is that? Okay, I'm lying. Most of the times, first of all, the used thing, okay, ridiculous. But also it shows, despite her saying that she wants a real partnership, she does have a problem with trying to have a certain image. I don't know if this is just writing. It's very weird that they show Miranda as someone who wants a genuine relationship, but then on the other hand, she meets a guy who is clearly someone who would be committed. Let's say this guy was kind of someone who would be committed and so on, and yet she sees him as used. She also doesn't strike me as someone who wants to live in the fantasy of, being married and having children and being with the one like Carrie does. So it is, again, weird that she would say used because, she wants to... she wants the perfect image. She wants someone who would only be for her. She wants someone who she would be the only person they would have children together. I think that was a little bit of a flop when it comes to Miranda. But let me know in the comments below, it didn't make sense that Miranda sees a divorced guy with a child as someone who is used, and then she's not so sure about dating him. But alas, they put it in the show. And how it panned out is her coming to an understanding that, vintage, right, him being used a little bit, does come with positive side, does come with perks. He wants a routine, he wants stability, he wants commitment, and that's basically a holy grail amongst heterosexual men. She'll deal with the kid.
No! Simon, hell!
It did not work out. Again, there is this underlying tone that could be very real about her struggling with how much options are out there when it comes to having a decent man or actually getting married and having a child. She's spending her day with Carrie. They're shopping for some flowers. And there he is. Across the street is Steve.
Fuck! Steve!
There is no way in hell she's gonna meet Steve right now. Steve is standing there and the expression on his face is heartbreaking. Here's the thing. Miranda is not the type to be friends with ex-boyfriends, okay? She wishes that she would be one of those couples, oh, we've been together and now we just separated, but we still are friends. She just can't do it. She's the type of person who's like, you need to not exist. But she won't get rid of Steve that fast. She's at home eating a biscotti. And honestly, do I want one now? There's a knock at the door. She peeps through the hole and it is Steve. There is no way getting out of this. She opens the door and Steve is upset. Not upset. He is disappointed in Miranda. How could she do that?
That was a shitty thing you did, running away from me on the street.
I didn't run.
You ran.
Well, I wasn't expecting to see you, and
It really hurt my feelings.
This man, can you imagine? Can you imagine your ex showing up at the door like that and scolding you like you're a little bad girl? It's giving Miranda sneaking out a Nutella jar from the cabinet before she had her dinner, and now her dad is scolding her. Disappointed. Boy, what? The exchange is so bizarre.
well, I don't do very well with ex-boyfriends, and...
Miranda, this is me. Steve.
Oh, for the love of... I don't know if I'm in a cranky mood, but what the F is this? What do you mean it's you? The guy that dumped her because she's more successful than you? Why do you think that you're more special than any other guy she's been with? The audacity.
I held your head while you were sleeping.
Oh no, he didn't. Oh no, he didn't. This is the same guy that couldn't stay in a relationship with Miranda because he couldn't feel man enough with her, because he can't buy her stuff or doesn't feel comfortable in her social circles.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I hadn't seen you in so long, and I missed you. And then I did that shitty thing.
It Wasn't that shitty, really?
It was a shitty thing. I'm a shitty person.
You're not a shitty person.
I am shitty.
The way Miranda is feeling, honestly, I am shocked. Like, I would not expect that from her. But on the other hand, I think it's very easy to make someone feel bad about themselves when in general they might feel as they are not good enough, or that they are too harsh, or that they are too much. On top of that, she even says and expresses that she would wish she could be the type of person who could be friends with their exes, but she's just not like that. And she takes it as that being like a bad thing, I guess. So Steve now doing this pushes her even more into feeling like the worst person ever. It's not fair. It's not fair at all. All of this looks very much like emotional manipulation. First, he makes her feel bad because she ran away and didn't say hi to him. Then he reminds her of the past that they shared together as though she owes something to him, right? Not only did you not say hi to me, that's rude, but you're not even saying hi to the person that you shared all of that with. He also plays the victim by telling her that she hurt his feelings, totally neglecting how much he hurt her in the relationship that they had. And then he changes his demeanor as soon as he sees that she is crying, that she is hurt. Then he puts a smile on and he's like, it's okay, you don't need to be this upset. I'm not saying that him smiling like that is malicious and evil. I think it just shows his relief that he's experiencing. But the fact that he had to push her in that direction for him to feel better about himself, I think that's problematic. Okay, I'm gonna try to be fair here. Okay, I'm gonna put myself into Steve's shoes, right? I'm Steve, I'm like, shooting the ball. Wait, I started badly. I'm Steve and I'm walking down the street and I see Miranda and I'm kind of happy to see her, right? The relationship ended, yes, okay, but I'm good with it. We weren't on the same level, right? On the social level, we weren't at the same status. I didn't feel like I can give her what she actually needs because she's so successful. And I'm okay with that, right? But she runs away. So now I'm like, why did she run away? Like, what did I do? Like, what? Yeah, I still find it very hard to go the path of, I'm going to go up at her door, knock on her door, ask her and make her feel guilty about it. I still find it very difficult to see that as a normal reaction and not a toxic one. Let me provoke a little bit. Do you think he would act the same way if Miranda was the one who broke up with him because he is not successful enough? Would we be understanding that, well, yeah, Miranda understood that, he can never offer her what she needed? No, she would be a bitch. So how come Steve is not an asshole for doing what he's doing? Honestly, I don't really like this writing because, in my opinion, unless you have some knowledge, understanding, blah, 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 it is so easy to see this again as Miranda being the closed one, the tough one, the not letting Steve in, and Steve is just a good guy that didn't work out. When in reality, this kind of behavior is very manipulative and very toxic. It's what I talked about in the last video when it comes to Carrie and Mr. Big. It's this idea that just because someone hurt you, you should still be okay and forgive them and blah, 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 which, I've shared my opinion on that. But here it even goes a step further. It's even Steve is making Miranda feel guilty to the point of crying because she didn't say hi to him. If you don't want to interact with someone who hurt you, you don't have to. And you're not a bad person because of that. He does admit, though, that his behavior was also very shitty.
You would never do anything that shitty.
What do you call showing up at your apartment in the middle of the afternoon and calling you shitty?
Yeah, that was pretty shitty.
And I do appreciate that he recognizes that. But despite all of it, I do wonder if he would feel that way if she wouldn't react in the way she did, if she wouldn't start crying, if he wouldn't see that she is literally hurt by, like that she feels so ashamed and guilty because she didn't say hi to him. I wonder if he would still feel that way, but let's give him at this point, that at least he admits that that was also shitty, which takes a bit of pressure off of Miranda. That's 100% positive, because he could push it even further, right? He could make her feel even more bad about it. Honestly, I went through my own roller coaster watching this scene. So please let me know in the comments below how you feel about all of this. She tells him that she misses him, that there are things that happen in her life and she wants to share it with him. And Steve doesn't see a problem of them being friends. Yes, the relationship didn't work out, but they've spent some good times together and they could be friends. He would like for them to be friends. They hug and they plan to have a dinner together. In my personal opinion, that hug was anything but two friends hugging, okay? It was more like my man came back from the war and he is alive. But that's just me. Will we finally see an example of how two exes can be friends? No, because after dinner, Steve makes his move. Yes, Biz, he makes his move. So much about being friends, huh? So after the dinner, they are back in her apartment because he asked her to return his, shirt, like sports shirt or whatever. Jersey, yes. He thanks her for the dinner and Miranda thanks him for finally letting her pay. But Steve then leans in for the kiss. Miranda pulls back and she offers a cheek.
Right. That's what friends do, isn't it?
Steve pulls back, but he has a question.
Do friends kiss here? Do friends kiss here? Do friends kiss?
That leads to them ending up in bed. Isn't it interesting how someone makes you feel that it's totally fine to be friends, they would like to be your friends, but the second you actually go out and try to be friends, they make a move on you, which ends in you two actually staying the night together? Is that a green flag? Is that a good, healthy behavior? Let's say that Steve wants to get back with Miranda, right? Let's say that he actually misses her. Wouldn't it be better if he would express that? Wouldn't it be better if he would take it slow? How come the solution in that case is, let me just start kissing her and let's just, do whatever we want to do? It might feel all very, oh my God, we just can't resist to one another. But in reality, no, you're just fooling yourself and you're taking away the responsibility you should have for what happened and how you want to move forward. After the deed, they are in bed and Steve kind of reflects. We had good reason to break up, right?
Yeah. Money, schedules, goals.
Good reasons.
It does show that he likes being with Miranda and he kind of potentially regrets why they ended. He doesn't really get what was actual reason. Boy, I can remember, maybe you don't remember, but I do remember that you ended with her because you didn't feel man enough with her because of her success. Miranda says that yes, they had a good reason. It was money, it was schedules, it was goals. It's very interesting how Miranda adds all of those things, while all of those things through their relationship, and we went through it in the previous video on them, were all resolved, right? Miranda always kind of found a way to find a solution for their schedules or for their goals or whatever. But somehow now when she reflects back, it's all of those things. It would be so much better if she would just say, well, the money thing, and then they might have an opportunity to actually talk about it. That could push Steve a little bit to open up about how does he feel now about the situation, or how did Miranda feel when he ended with her because of it. When she adds all these other things, which yes, were a problem, but were not the ultimate problem, again, takes away responsibility to actually do the right thing. Talk about it.
Are we still just friends?
Yeah. We're still just friends. Friends who have sex.
I guess they agree to be friends with benefits. Let me know in the comments below, how do you feel about all of this? How do you feel Steve coming back to Miranda's life? And how do you feel the two of them coming or not coming back together? Like, what is this bullshit? If you enjoyed the video, click the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe if you don't want to miss the next one. All in all, as long as you enjoyed the video and watched it, I'm good. And remember, trust your individuality.